So a few days ago, I'm talking to a friend on a phone call, and just like me, this guy loves psychology. I'm saying something to him, he stops me and he tells me that you don't really believe that, you are lying to yourself right now. And as soon as I hear that, I know it for a fact that his emotional intelligence is very high. We are not even talking face to face, he cannot see my body language or my micro expressions, and he still knew exactly what I was thinking. I don't even try to fight back, I just tell him that you are right, and we continue the conversation. But at its very core, this is what emotional intelligence is. It is the ability to read people, understand them, what they are thinking, what they are feeling, and taking actions based on that. To improve your emotional intelligence, there are these 5 things you need to focus on. The first one is empathy. So empathy is the ability to feel what other people are feeling. And this is very important because you cannot understand an emotion unless you feel it. Emotions are like colors basically. You cannot logically explain what red color looks like. You have to see the color or something similar to it to understand what it looks like. Human emotions work in similar way. You can never catch a person lying to himself if you have never caught yourself lying to yourself. Does that make sense? When you lie to yourself, you have all the data you need. You know the narrative you are telling yourself, what is the uncomfortable truth you are hiding, why you are lying, the situation you are in, and all the context around it. But when talking to other people, that is simply not the case. You don't have all the data. You only know what they are telling you. But when you catch yourself lying to yourself a few times, you can clearly start seeing the pattern. And you can apply the same pattern to other people. The way you think is very similar to the way other people think. And empathy creates this bridge between your own thought patterns and other people's thought patterns. Let's say for example, your friend is going through a breakup and he is very depressed because of that. If you are the kind of person who has empathy, you will feel what he is feeling. You know exactly the kind of thoughts that he is having and what he wants to do. And because you have this information, you can help him. On the other hand, if you have no empathy, you do not understand what your friend is going through. You will think he is overreacting, he is kind of cringe. You will say something like, it is not even that serious, just get over it, stop being so depressed, you will find someone else. The next component is the most obvious one, which is social skills, but it goes beyond that. So people who work with AI know that to train any kind of AI, you need a large data set. When the data set is big enough, the AI model can learn the patterns. And human brain works in a similar way. When something is repeated over and over again and again, your brain learns the patterns. You might not be able to logically explain it, but your brain knows what to do. Let's say for example, playing chess. When a chess master sees a very complex position where multiple pieces are there and it is not very clear who is winning, he might not be able to logically explain the position, but he has a pretty good idea of what move is good and what move is bad, because his brain has seen the patterns thousands of times. Humans work in similar way. When you go through hundreds of social situations and talk to thousands of people, your brain subconsciously in the background learns the patterns. All the social cues, the unspoken rules of socializing, you learn all of that. And this is something that books cannot teach you. You can read all the books about body language, about psychology, but that is simply not going to work unless you talk to people. And I know this because I have tried this. First of all, learning these things is very difficult. There are literally thousands of rules of body language. Your eyes can be multiple things, your eyebrows can be multiple things, your hands, your legs, all of these body parts can be multiple things. And to make it even worse, combinations of these body parts can convey something else entirely. You cannot just see one body part and conclude something. You have to see the whole body and remember all the rules to make a decision. And to make it even more worse, there is context. When a person has a closed body language, it generally means that he is nervous. But even that is not always true. For some people, it is a habit ever since they were a kid, and in some situations, he might be feeling cold, so he is just closing his body. So memorizing these rules is not going to work, but on the bright side, you don't have to memorize these rules. Your brain has specific regions dedicated to reading people. Take a look at these photos for example. You don't logically know the rules of body language, but you know what expressions are happy, what are sad, what are angry, because your brain to some extent has learned the patterns. To be able to read people's body language, you need to train this part of the brain. And for doing that, you need to have a few people who are very close to you. You understand them very well, and to an extent, you can predict what they are thinking. And you need a lot of people who are not very close to you, but you still talk to them regularly. They will help you to find the patterns. And to accelerate the progress even further, don't just talk to them, put them through a lot of situations and see how they react. Ask them for a small favor, then ask them for a huge favor, predict how they're going to react, and see if your prediction was right. When you test enough people like this, your social skills will go up significantly and your confidence will improve. You will realize that people will do things for you just because you asked for it. The next thing is self-awareness, and this again goes back to empathy. The only person in this world whose thoughts you have complete access to is you yourself. You know your complete life story, all your trauma, your insecurities, what you think, how you think, and what emotions you are going through at any given moment. And if you become aware of how these things changes your actions, how they affect your body language, the words you use, the way you speak, your micro expressions, and your decisions, it becomes easy for you to notice these things in other people and figure out how they think. And on the other hand, if you cannot read your own emotions, you cannot read other people's emotions either. Now, how do you become more self-aware? First of all, never ever lie to yourself. For every single action that you do, be completely honest with yourself. Answer me this: why did you click on this video? Is it because you really wanted to know more about emotional intelligence? Or is it because you wanted to manipulate someone? Whatever it is, be honest with yourself. Second thing, actively notice how your thoughts and your emotions are shaping your actions. Every now and then, and especially when making some huge decisions, ask yourself what emotions you are feeling, what is the logical part of your brain thinking, and how that is affecting your body language, your tone of speaking, the words you use, the decisions you make, and your micro expressions. The next thing is self-regulation, which is the ability to control your own emotions. So up until this point, everything we saw was about reading other people, but self-regulation is about controlling yourself. And the reason this is important is because emotional intelligence is not just about reading people, it is about using this information. And for doing that, you need to think through every situation as calmly as possible. Let me explain with an example. Let's say two people are fighting. The girl is very angry. She is saying some of the rudest, some of the most hurtful things possible. If a normal person is in this situation, he is going to be very offended, he is going to get angry, his self-esteem is going to hurt, and his emotions are going to be messed up. On the other hand, if a person who has high emotional intelligence is in the same situation, he can clearly see through why she is saying those things. He can see that because she is so angry, her brain is trying to calculate every possible hurtful thing she can think of, even if those things are not true. And because he knows this, his own ego, his own self-esteem is not going to be hurt. And because his self-regulation is very high, he can calmly analyze the situation and decide what to do like a mature person. His own emotions, his ego, his anger, they are not going to get in the way. The next thing is intrinsic motivation. So motivation are of two types: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation is when other people validate you and you feel good about that. Maybe someone compliments you, they like your Instagram photo, or maybe they try to impress you somehow. Those things feel good, but the problem is people are unpredictable. By being extrinsically motivated, you are handing the remote control of your emotions to other people. They decide how you feel. And the more extrinsically motivated you become, the more you try to impress other people. And the more you try to impress people, the less you can analyze them. Let me put it this way. Analyzing the body language of a 5-year-old kid is much more easy because you do not care what he or she thinks of you. You are not affected by the judgment of a kid. But on the other hand, if you're at a job interview and you really want this job, you will do everything you possibly can to impress the interviewer. All your brain power is going to impressing him. And because of that, you don't have any energy to analyze him. And the solution to being less extrinsically motivated is to being more intrinsically motivated. Intrinsic motivation is when you don't have to rely on other people to feel good. You are in charge of your own emotions. You do actions like going to the gym, eating healthy, focusing on your mental health, and doing all the good habits and doing no bad habits which make you feel good. All your self-worth comes from your own actions. How other people see you does not affect you. And if you want to know what is the most underrated social skill ever, check out this video.